Hi guys, this is Taken57. Today I'm going to be showing you how to create animated mods using the new functionality that I've built into X-Ray. Alright, so in the newest version of X-Ray, you will notice that there's a new menu option which is called Y-Object Animations, or Control A. If you open your model using this function, this will load all the animated meshes for the model. Alright, so if you double click on any of these animated meshes, you'll see that each of the meshes have a slightly different expression compared to the others, and this is how the game actually creates the animations for the model. So if I double click on any of the animations, you'll notice that each one has a different expression. Alright, so in order for us to be able to create an animated model, you need to create a mesh with a slightly different expression, which you can import into each of these animated meshes slots. So I'm going to go and use a tool in 3D Studio Max, which is called Morpher, and I'm going to use an animated sequence in 3D Studio Max to export the meshes so that we can import them. Now for this mod, I'm creating Scott Steiner, and I'm using Big Boss Man as my base model. What I'm going to do is I'm going to keep the Big Boss Man Y object open in X-Ray, and I'm going to look at the specific animations that I want to create and use this for reference as I'm working in 3D Studio Max. So I have the Big Boss Man Y object open, and I'm going to import the head that I've created of Scott Steiner into 3D Studio Max. Alright, so you can see this is the head that I've created. I've used Big Boss Man's head and I've sculpted it to look like Scott Steiner. Now an important thing to note is that you want to have your mesh finalized. That is, I cannot make any more changes to the Scott Steiner sculpt that I've done once I start working on the animations. The reason for this is because the game references specific vertices when it's creating expressions, and if you go and change the sculpt that you used as a base, the game will corrupt the model, as you've seen in the previous games. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start creating a few expressions, and I'm not going to create every single expression for each of the animations because they are 115. I'm just going to create a few, which is smiling, frowning, mouth open, so forth and so on. Once I've created these animated meshes, I'm going to export them and then thereafter import them into X-Ray. Alright, so let's get started. So the first thing you want to do is you want to duplicate the head. So I'm going to go Control V, I'm going to say copy. Okay, so now I've got a second instance of the head. You can also do this via edit, clone, copy, whichever you prefer. Alright, now that we've got a second head reference, I'm going to call the second head left smile. Alright, now that we have left smile selected, I'm just going to move this slightly. So I'm going to move this to the left. Also note that I've selected just the head and moved it. I haven't gone into head, select vertices and then move. This is incorrect. The reason for this is because we're going to apply the Morpher tool later on, and we want to move the head without moving the vertices as such. You'll understand when I start with the Morpher tool. Alright, so now we have a second mesh called left smile, and I'm going to start working on editing this mesh. So we want to try to create an expression. So let's look at the meshes that are in the Big Boss Man file to try and determine what the expression should look like. So let's find one that has a left smile. Remember that the meshes that you see in X-Ray is inverted. So left is right, right is left. This is because the model actually has the X and Y axis inverted. So okay, so there we go. Object 53. Animation number 53 has an expression with quite a big smile. So now we're going to try and create this expression in 3D Studio Max. Remember that this is inverted, so therefore Even though the smile is going to the left, this is a right smile. Alright, so now we're going to start animating. So I'm going to do this for the left side first, and then thereafter I'm going to do the right side. So the easiest way to do this is to try and use the soft selection tool. Try and select the vertices around the mouth that you want to sculpt, and then create the expression that's needed. So I'm going to use my soft selection tool. Let's get the vertices a bit bigger. Alright, so let's try and create this expression. So when you are creating the expressions, because we are using the morpher tool will be able to give you how much of the animation you want to apply to the base model. So if you are creating an expression, it's best to create the most extreme expression first, because you can apply a certain percentage of this expression to the base model to get a slight smile, a bigger smile, and an extreme smile, for instance. Alright, so let's use soft selection. I'm going to select a pinch value, I'm going to select a bubble value. I'm also going to ignore the back faces, I'm only going to select area on the mouth, and let's go. I think it's better if we use the paintbrush tool, might be a bit easier. So let's select about half the mouth. Let's drop this value. So we only select half the mouth. Alright, that should be fine. Let's try and create the expression that we need. So let's take a look at what it looks like again. Alright. Let's take this out a bit. Alright, we need to do the other side of the mouth. Alright, you can add as much detail as you want. For instance, if the person is smiling, usually the cheek would protrude slightly, so you can do that to make it as realistic as you want. All depends on you and how much of detail you want to have on your mod. Alright, so we've got an expression where he is smiling to the left, which is pretty similar to what we're seeing in the reference model. Alright, so I'm going to duplicate, and I'm going to do the same thing for the right. Or edit clone, we can copy. Alright, we're going to call this second model right smile. Okay, and now we're going to do a sculpt for the right smile in the same way that we've done the left smile. Alright, so now we have smile to the left, smile to the right, neutral expression. Okay, so you can also do some frowning expressions if you want, and you can also, I'm also going to do an expression where his mouth is open. So I'm not going to do the frowning expressions because it's fairly similar to actually creating the expressions that I've just done. So I'm going to create one where his mouth is open. I'm going to call this mesh mouth open. Alright, so likewise I'm going to try and find a reference mesh where his mouth is open. I think it's around the 47, 48 mark. And there we go, 45. Okay, so I'm going to try and create this expression, more or less. Okay, so we want to try and get his mouth open, the jaw down, and the mouth slightly closed on either side. So I'm going to use my soft selection tool again to try and select the vertices that I need. Alright, so let's select the mouth area. Now I'm going to use the edge distance option in the soft selection tool so that when I'm moving the mouth, I do not select the upper lip, I only select the bottom lip. Let's try and get this. Alright, so now that we have a few expressions created for our model, I'm going to apply the morpher tool to this model, and I'm going to assign the expressions that we've created to different slots in the morpher tool. Alright, so let's select our first original base mesh. We're going to select morpher from the list of modifiers. Alright, cool. So once we've selected morpher, you'll see that there is a list of slots that are listed as empty on the right hand side. So I'm going to select the first slot, and then thereafter I'm going to click on pick object from scene. So what this allows you to do is take the shape that you've created in additional meshes and apply it to your base mesh. So I'm going to select the left smile first. Right, and you will see that this is now assigned to the left smile slot. So you'll see there's a number that says 0 next to left smile. This number can go from 0 to 100. The value that you set here will specify how many % of the expression you want to apply to the model. So for instance, if I go up, you see the model slowly takes expression. Alright, now I'm going to do the same for the right smile. We'll say pick from scene, and then open mouth I'm going to select as the third slot. Note that you can also apply multiple morphers to your base object. For instance, I can do left smile and I can do right smile simultaneously. So you have a smile that's in the center. Or you can do left smile and mouth open at the same time. Alright, so this is going to allow you to create multiple different expressions using only a few different meshes. This is the reason why I specified that you should always go for the most extreme expression, because if you only want the mouth slightly open, we can apply a smaller value. Whereas if you want the mouth completely open, you can apply a morpher of 100. Alright, so now that we have a few expressions created, we can now begin exporting these to be imported into X-Ray. So you will notice that in X-Ray you have the same options that you have when importing a normal object when you're editing your models. So you can import each of these meshes one by one if you would like to. However, there is a quicker way in which to do this, in which you can export multiple objects simultaneously from 3D Studio Max, and we can import these all in one go. So for this you're going to need a script, and the script is found on this page as shown in the address bar here. You need to download the script called Export Object Sequence. So what the script allows you to do is we can specify specific animation keyframes in which you want certain expressions to be applied, and this will export all of the objects for you in a specific animated sequence. So you don't need to export each of the objects one by one. Okay, in order for you to start working with your animations, you need to click on the Auto button. The viewport will then become red, indicating that now you are in the creating animation frames. So we're going to move to our first animation frame, which is 45, to correspond with animation 45. Okay, at animation 45, you want the mouth of the model to be completely open. Alright, you want the model of the mouth to be completely open, so we'll specify 100. Alright, now one thing you will notice is, because you specified 100 at frame 45, the animator will automatically transition from one expression to the next, which is not what we want, because it will assign a frame at 45, 43, 42, etc., where the mouth is slightly less open. What we want is the mouth to go from open to close specifically. What you want is from the model to go from mouth close to mouth open. So at frame 45, we want this to be 0. At frame 46, you also want this to go back to 0. Alright, so now if you scroll your animation bar, you'll notice that the animation at frame 45 opens and at frame 46 is closed. Alright, so now we have 3 keyframes defined. So let's look at a few others where we actually utilizing the smiling expressions that we've created. Let's find the smiling expressions. Okay, so 53 is where he is smiling. Remember, this is flipped, so this is to the, even though the viewport is showing that he's smiling to the left, he's actually smiling to the right. So therefore at animation 53, let's go to 53, he's smiling to the right completely, like that. At frame 52, we want him not to have any expression at all, so we'll specify 0, and we'll specify 0 there as well. Alright, now let's look for the other side as well. Alright, now you notice that the next expression is at frame 76, so we're going to assign the other side smile to frame 76. Let's go to frame 76. And here we're going to do left smile 100%. At frame 74 we want it to be 0, and at frame 77 we want it to be 0 as well. Now remember, each of these keyframes can be you can specify an expression for each of the keyframes. So for instance, at 76, if you want him to smile, 77 you want the mouth to be open, you can also do that. You can use this whichever way you need to. It's just a matter of adjusting the parameter values that you have specified. So we have 2 smiles and we have a mouth open. Alright, so what we're going to do now is we're going to use a script to export the expressions that we've just done. So we're going to say max script, run script, and I'm going to select export object sequence, which is the script we've just created. Now the important thing here is to try and give the meshes the same name that you see in X-Ray. So all the meshes start with anim underscore 66, 67, etc. I'm going to select just the prefix, which is anim. So when it asks you to specify what file name you would like, specify anim. We want to start. The next option here gives you which frame would you like to start and which frame would you like to end. Now we need to create 113 starting from 0 frames. So we're going to select 113 and we're going to select export. Alright, thereafter we need to specify where this animations need to go to. I've created a folder called animations and I'm going to click OK. Okay, now this allows you to specify which options you want for your object exporter. You use the same options that you would use for importing into X-Ray. So I'm going to select export and this will begin creating. An animated mesh for each and every single object that we've done so far. Now that the script has completed executing, it has exported 113 meshes which can be imported back into your model. Now remember, you can create as many expressions as you want. I normally only create the smiling expressions, frowning expressions, expressions with the eyes closed and the mouth open. I don't really get into any of the other expressions where the cheeks are puffed out or the chin is lowered, etc. But it's up to you to create as many expressions as you want. You can usually get away with creating about 20 expressions and the game model looks fine. You can also, instead of using the auto option, you could use the set key function in 3D Studio Max. What this does is that it assigns a specific keyframe when you click on the key button. So instead of actually animating for you, it will assign a keyframe only when you press the key button. It is up to you to do so. Alright, so now we're going to go back to X-Ray. We have all our animation expressions created. So the first thing you need to do is you need to remove all animations for objects which we're not going to use. To explain, the mesh assigns animations to many different facial objects, such as the eyes, the eyelids, etc. We're not going to assign animations for any of these because it will take too long to animate every single object, because you need to do 113 animations for the tongue, teeth, etc. So I've created a new function called remove facial expressions excluding face. So you're going to click this. So you're going to get a warning. Say yes. I'm going to use my Y object where I'm going to inject the animations to. So I'm going to select this. And this will disable all the animations. Alright, so if we open this object normally, you will see that the vertex header count for the first object, which is the face, is still 113, whereas everything else is 1. It's very important to do this before you start injecting, because if you start injecting animated meshes into the eyelids, object 16, object 12, etc., you find that sometimes it corrupts the model completely. So ensure that you run this first before we start working. Alright, also note that the animated sequence import only works for object 0. So if the face of your model or the head of your model is not in object 0, you can use an atomizer to position this at object 0. 90% of the models that I've worked with have the faces positioned at object 0. Alright, so now our model is prepped for us to start importing. So if we open the model using the animation option, you will see a button at the top that says inject all animations. Okay, so once you click this button, this will import the animated mesh into the model for you. Okay, before we go there, I just want to show you as well what happens when you do an import of an animated mesh. So object 0 is our head. I'm going to inject object 0, which I've already sculpted. So you get an option that says, do you want to import animation meshes? So what this will do is that it will import your sculpt into each of the animated slots. Now it's important to know what this means, because if you've already injected animated meshes into your model and you click this button, this will override all of the animated meshes that you've already injected. So if you're importing the head for the first time, you will say yes. And if you open the animated meshes in the model, you will see that every single animated mesh in the model has the same shape. Alright, so now we're going to import the animated meshes that we just created. Alright, so I'm going to select the animation folder which I specified when I was doing the export from 3D Studio Max, which is animations. I'm going to click OK, and this is going to begin importing the animated meshes. Now it's important to note that you should not store any other files besides your animated meshes in this folder. So do not put any of your textures, models, etc., or the script will fail. The script does take a little bit of time to import because it's trying to import 113 meshes into the model. So just be patient while this is running. Okay, this is actually created an additional animation, which is 113. So I specified the wrong number in 3D Studio Max. I was actually supposed to specify one less object. However, it's fine. Alright, so now if you double click on the animations in which slots that we have created expressions for, you will notice that the expressions have been injected. So if you look at slot 1, slot 45, the model has the mouth open, slot 53 has him smiling, etc. So in this way you can create as many expressions as you want, and X-Ray will import all the expressions for you. So now I'm going to inject this model into my pack file. So I'm going to select my pack. And I'm going to copy this into the game folder. So now I'm going to start the game up, and I'm going to try and use the model that we've created to see if the animations work. I'm going to go into the entrance creator so that I can assign different entrances to the model to test out the expressions. Alright, and you'll notice now that the model is opening and closing his mouth, meaning that the expressions that we've created is working. You'll notice that when he opens his mouth, the model appears completely black on the inside. This is because we haven't positioned the teeth, tongue, and the mouth cavity area properly, which we will need to do. I'm not going to get into this because this is fairly simple, self-explanatory. What you will need to do is you need to open the model in 3D Studio Max. So let's import the model using the script that I've created, which is import WW taken, no weights. Now you want to select the script that says no weights because you need to ensure that the bones for the eye object and the tongue object are positioned correctly. Okay, now that our model is positioned in 3D Studio Max, we need to see what the positioning of the teeth and the tongue objects are. So if you make this see-through, you can see that the teeth object and the tongue object, etc., are not positioned correctly. These are quite far out from the mouth. So let's just hide this object completely. You can see what's going on inside the head. Okay, so the bones for the eye objects are correct, and the bones for the tongue, etc., seem to be correct, but we need to reposition the tongue and the teeth. Okay, so repositioning these objects are the same as editing any of the other objects in the game. I normally make the mouth cavity a little bit bigger to accommodate for the new sculpt that I've done. It's up to you. Also note, if you position the tongue differently, you need to position the bones differently as well, and export the bones back into the game, because you notice that bones are attached to the tongue there. So these bones may need to move to reposition based on your new position of your tongue. You can do this using the script. Export each of the bones as a collada object and import these back into X-Ray. Alright, so that is the end of the tutorial. I hope this was helpful to you guys, and I hope that you guys will enjoy the new functionality that has been built into the X-Ray. I look forward to seeing some new awesome animated models being created by the modding community. Take care. Goodbye.